Well, all right, Southern Indiana, here we go again. We got part 3 here in this little short series covering the sermon that we had just last Sunday, as we've been talking about trusting God with our families and having faith that we can do that. We've been kind of looking at the foundation that we need to understand around what leading a godly family looks like and the equal but different roles that both parties play, mom and dad, both equally important but different roles. And we talked about that in the last 2 videos, so if you missed those, check those out on our Facebook page. But now we're going to get into a biblical account that demonstrates what we described in the verses in Genesis and Ephesians in the last 2 videos. So we're going to review the story of Samson. Those of you who don't know, this was a supernaturally strong individual who was tasked with freeing Israel. And he had strength beyond understanding. He could defeat hundreds or thousands of men, and it was just strength that nobody could match, and many people couldn't match. He could not be defeated in battle. And a lot of us are familiar with that story, and the details of him aren't as important for this lesson, but we're going to be looking at his parents as they demonstrate what a true godly leadership of a family looks like, with God at the head, communicating with God, and cooperating with each other. So this is the story of Manoah, which is Samson's father, and his wife, and this is going to be in Judges 13. And we're going to start looking at a few things in verses 1 through 5. And it starts by talking about how the Israelites, God's people, were doing evil in the Lord's sight. And so the Lord handed them over into bondage to the Philistines, and they had been oppressed for 40 years. And the main point I want to get across with this first part of the verse is that, God is still with his people and working through his people, even when the community at large has turned from him. And I see a lot of Christians get shipwrecked. They might see what's happening in America and the culture and media and those things, and getting frustrated and just figure that America's over and that there's no hope for God in this country. And even if that's true, which it's not, clearly God is still individually with his people who believe in him and are with him and have faith in what he did in the cross. No matter what's going on in the community, we can count on God to be with us and working through us. Some of the fastest growing churches in the world are in the most oppressed areas. North Korea, China, Russia, fast growing churches in areas with far more oppression than we could even imagine. So it's clear, not just in the Bible does it say so, but also we can see it today in the different communities where there's lots of oppression. That's where the church is growing the fastest. And as we move forward just a little bit here in this video, it talks about that there was a man named Manoah. This is Samson's father. His wife was unable to become pregnant. They had no children. And then it says an angel of the Lord appeared, not to Manoah, but it says it came to Manoah's wife and told her that you will be pregnant and you will give birth to a son. That's what he shared with her. And so as we think about that, and we think about the Lord bringing his word to that family, it's pretty important to realize that even though the father was the head of the family, as the Bible describes, when the Lord had a word for them as a single unit, he did come to the wife. Now we can wonder if that was just chance, or maybe there was some purpose behind that. As we go a little further into the word here, we'll see that. He describes to the wife that she should not be drinking wine, she should not be eating any forbidden food, because she will become pregnant, certain there, and she will give birth to a son. So the main lesson we want to see here is that if we're going to lead a family effectively, mother and father together, God will often ask us to lead and take care of ourselves in advance. Otherwise, how can we effectively lead a family and kids in this world, or any world for that matter, in any time, I should say? And how can we actually enjoy the blessing that a family is if everything is in turmoil and chaos? So quite often, before we're asked to lead a family, God will start speaking to us to lead ourselves and take care of ourselves first in preparation. So that's the end of this part of the lesson. We'll have more to come. You don't want to miss it in the next video. But hey, I hope all of you are enjoying this. I hope all of you had a great time in church over the weekend as well. If you don't have a great church you belong to, I really hope you'll consider visiting us here at Covenant Life Church in Southern Indiana, right here in Jeffersonville. We're right on Veterans Parkway, right next to River Valley Middle School. We meet Sunday mornings at 10:30, and I invite you to come check us out sometime. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, and look for the next video coming up here soon.